I gotta do this. I think I did a video similar to this a while back on someone else, but I gotta do this. I have to talk about gay self-hate, ignorance of what racism really is by people who have been oppressed. But let's just dive into this because I'm hearing stuff that's crazy. I looked at Dave Rubin telling Oxford University structural racism is an imaginary. I have not talked a lot about Dave Rubin because I don't think he's a racist. But what he's done here is just as dangerous or more dangerous than the man I spoke of in the previous video, putting Nazi flags on his house and all that stuff, the violence. Because he's cloaked in a veneer of legitimacy. He's cloaked in a veneer of, education and all that stuff. Dave Rubin is a gay man that lives in Los Angeles. And he does these shows. He did a show, I think, where he'll let people, jump up and they'll be like, I'm this and I live around a bunch of liberals and I do this. And it's crazy. It's just white people who are not in 100% control. And I'm like, what about black people to get dope planted on them and stuff like that? You're concerned because you know some gay people you work with that you don't like? You know what I mean? Like that. So Dave Rubin, he's whole stick, like Milo was. His whole stick of, I'm gay, but conservative white men have no problem. I'm no threat to you. I exist in this, I'm no threat to you. While he lives in a liberal bastion where he's allowed to live. I guess, I don't know if conservatives buy this little thing. I mean, he's making money. I don't know if they buy it or not, but go to Alabama and try that shit. Go to parts of Florida and try that shit. It doesn't matter if you are not politically a threat. They don't like gay people. Period. And I've spoken on this before that this is my problem when people just make it all about making money. Because then you have someone who comes up 10 years from now and forgets about the struggle of black people. Dr. King, Medgar Evers, all the stuff that came before the Freedom Riders, all things that came before the March in Selma, the other marches, the field desegregation attempts in Albany, Georgia. We don't learn about those things. We don't. That's why I like Malcolm X. Malcolm X shows you with his talks, things weren't so rosy. There was a white man that went in and bought out the CLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Yes, those things. It wasn't just, okay, well, we're beating black people up. No. That's not what happened. It was violence done. A lot of people were killed and harmed behind racism. But if you don't learn those things, and you'll just think, well, we don't live in those times anymore. No. People fought for that, baby. People fought and died for that, for us. For us to have this moment. We, like a man told me, we are what our ancestors prayed for. We really are. Like Moses talking about going to the promised land. Not perfect. Certainly not perfect. But going back to it. So, just like homosexuals. Harvey Milk. All the other homosexuals that were killed. That were brutalized back in the day. That are still being brutalized and murdered. Yes. That stuff still goes on out here. And I think it's kind of tragic to me that Dave Rubin doesn't get that. Doesn't understand that. And that he's really a disservice to other gay people that way. I'm gay, but I'm not a threat to you. I'm gay, but I'm not going to fight for... It's almost like people fought before he's even born so that they'd have hate crime laws. If you jump on a gay man and say that's an enhancement, things like that. And now that he's a grown man, he's out there speaking out, he's got money behind him, he's like, well, I don't need those things anymore. But you do have, it'd be one thing if it was even. I say this often, like with Alex Jones, how they're not even. If Dave Rubin went and said, okay, all these transgender women getting murdered in Texas, that's wrong, I'm against it. He's speaking about that. So his whole stick is, I'm gay, but I'm no threat. That you can accept me, and I'm not getting your way. You know, it's same thing with Kanye West and the rest of them. Slavery is your fault. It's your fault you were in slavery. Nigga, is you crazy? Somebody should have smacked the shit out of him behind that. Real talk. Somebody should have smacked the shit out of that dude for that. But Dave Rubin is just an example of someone. There's a lot of them like that. They're the coons, and really, crackers don't like them neither. You know what I mean? You're being tolerated. You're not accepted. And to me, the conservatives that do accept them, it shows you how desperate they are, because now the Republican Party is twisting in the wind. They're violating their own rules and laws with Trump. They don't like gay people. They didn't like them 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but now they'll use them as long as they push the agenda of the right. They always talk about the left doing that. We flip-flop. They're doing the same thing. They're actually doing it worse because of their rhetoric against gay people back in the day. I think Dave Rubin represents a sort of a cultural forgetting, a cultural ignorance, a cultural just sort of a forgetting of what's been done to gay people in this country. I think that's disgusting. I think he does a disservice to gay people. You know, I think it's just like what Trump does with talking about doing away with low flow toilets and things like that. I have a shower heater I wanted it to be a low flow, or save water. I wanted it to do that. I went and looked for one for that reason alone. You know, I mean, one of those things. I just think that's just really disgusting. Really disgusting. Those kind of things are being presented today. And at times that we're not progressing, we're really degenerating and we're stagnating. Peace out.